When you make a successful game, the next logical choice is to make a sequel. The problem with a sequel is it takes time to make. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes nowadays it takes anywhere between 5 and 8 years. For SmackDown 2, that was none of those things. In a 7-month time span, the people over at THQ and Ukes were able to put out a sequel. And that's what makes this game interesting, because this game would determine if SmackDown could become a full-blown franchise. Could you sell a second wrestling game in the same year and make it worth it? Somehow they did. And that is why we'll be looking at SmackDown 2 Know Your Role for the PlayStation to see how this sequel made SmackDown a full-blown franchise. Now again, SmackDown 2 is very interesting. Published by THQ, developed by Ukes. Normally, a sequel, it takes a couple years. People, it left the taste of the original game out. So years later, when the sequel comes out, they probably don't remember how it was at first. So a lot of people just go into it with a brand new just way of looking at it. For SmackDown 2, they did not have that luxury. It was literally just 7 months within the same year. Nowadays, in main WWE games, it's every year cycles. 7 months, though, is so short, people remember what the first one was like. So THQ and Ukes, they were tasked with how can we make this game worth buying. They focused on 3 things: updating the roster, adding more match types, and the most important thing, how can we make this game replayable? How can we make it so they don't have to go back and play the original SmackDown? Which pretty much meant they had to maintain everything that made SmackDown good and expand upon it in a way that would pretty much just make them stay on SmackDown 2. We're going to focus on the roster and the match types later, but I wanted to really focus on the third thing that was the key thing to making SmackDown 2 probably one of the greatest wrestling games on PlayStation, was the replayability factor. And what the route they decided to go with was take the season mode from the original SmackDown and expand upon it to a never ending season mode that you could just replay as much as you want with 4 people, go after titles, storylines with the cutscenes actually making sense and integral to the story, unlock stuff during the story, so much stuff. And that's what we're going to look at. Now, disclaimer, this game was huge. It's a lot, but they put a lot of stuff on a PS1 disc, and this is not nowadays where we're dealing with 70 gigabyte games or 100 gigabyte games. No. So because of that, THQ and Ukes pretty much pushed this game to the limits, and you're going to see it in the game season mode momentarily. The load times are notorious in this game because you are going to be seeing them pretty much anytime you want to get to a new menu or a new screen. You're going to be seeing these loading screens a lot. So just completely forewarn you. So just give me a moment that I load up the game. All right. So, for season mode, like I said, it's arguably the greatest season mode that was probably in a PlayStation game when it comes to wrestling. But you see the loading screens right here. Actually, before my mistake, unfortunately, we're going to start a new one, but before we do that, we're going to have to save and exit. Like I said, everything has a loading screen. I'm going to have to unfortunately cut off the music during this portion, mainly because in the season mode, they decided to not split. This is a time where they didn't split the sound effects or the background noise with the actual music that they had. So because of that, the intros to Raw, SmackDown, and pay-per-views play. And to avoid getting copyrighted, I'm just going to have to mute it while we're in season mode. It's only in season mode, so just to let you guys know. So the soundtrack, unfortunately, is going to have to be silent. So you're just going to have to listen to my voice and the sound effects during this part. So I just want to apologize in advance. And then this essentially is the main. You're going to be seeing these screens a lot with SmackDown too, but that does not take away from it being a good game. I'm just showing you what it was like back in the day in the year 2000. But you got to give Ukes and THQ credit to put all of this in one game. They took the PS1 to its absolute limit. And considering it was essentially in its final years anyway, because the PS2 came out the same year. Within the same month, actually, now that I think about it. We're going to start a new game because hopefully it will showcase the new cutscenes that were involved. And for the purposes of this presentation, we're going to go with The Rock. We're going to go with The Rock. Just a quick thing. Again, the menus are right here. I can enter either the players again. And you can actually change. That's the key thing. Unlike last time, you couldn't change. You're pretty much stuck with them until you have to make a new one. But you can essentially change any time you want to whatever superstar you want to play as. The belt records, the rankings. For the purpose of this, I'm just going to show you real quick. The belt records probably not a good idea because everything's a loading screen. I just want to show you who's currently champion because they actually added a new championship, which was the light heavyweight title. So we had the World Wrestling Federation champions, The Rock, Road Dogg for the Intercontinental, Gangrel is European, Hardcore Steve Blackman, light heavyweight is Taka, the women's was Ivory, the tag team was Triple H and Road Dogg. Why? Do not ask me why Triple H and Road Dogg were the tag team champions. Could not tell you. Or maybe it's because it remembers my save file. We're going to enter. And I'm just going to show you again with this season mode. It's essentially as bare bones as what the modern, as essentially this is the bare bones of universe mode, what would become universe mode. As you can see, they really put an emphasis on the titles. They actually love showing off the PNG files of the titles. You can actually see what's going to happen from the beginning of the show to the main event. As you see, I'm in the main with The Rock. I'm going to play that match. And another infamous thing about this game is, if you loved the loading screens when it comes to switching, you're going to love the loading screens when it comes to matches. Because when you try to skip a match, they have this health bar. It does go quickly to a point, but it's like you have to deal with the loading screens and that. But hopefully within one of these bars, they're going to eventually show a cutscene. I think this is one of them that triggers. And again, thing with these cutscenes actually matter, and they usually play a part in the story. Whether in the first game, they meant absolutely nothing. It makes you believe Ukes were just testing out the cutscenes. He would have a special, I believe that says match, and who's his opponent. And I believe we already know who's opponent, who's above. Or I think it's the very next match actually. And normally cutscenes normally factor in, if it's not the main story, it factors right into the next match. So I think either Kane's match is coming up. Little stuff like that matter. Or like I said, it's probably above. Yep, a battle royal. Billy Gunn has in Godfather. So the cutscenes for the most part back in the year 2000 made a tad bit more sense. You have Crash and Farouk. And then we have Tag. I'm only going to play my match with Chris Jericho, and probably the only other match I want to play is when we get to the first pay-per-view, and if my memory serves me correctly, it's going to be Stone Cold. His appearance in that, because you unlock Stone Cold if you get to the Backlash pay-per-view. Spoilers if you weren't aware of that by now. Like I said, the health bars is just you gotta think about it from this perspective. In the year 2000, when you're a kid, you have all the time in the world. So these loading screens really did not affect me at all when I was a kid. I did not mind them. I was just so happy to play a wrestling game. And against SmackDown was great, and knowing SmackDown 2 was just months after the fact. To me, I was like, I did not care. And it's even post Mac cutscene. Like I said, just a basic. Back then, this was like cutting edge stuff. Storylines in a wrestling game was hard to come by prior to these SmackDown games. So even little stuff like just having a cutscene with even no voiceovers, they would not achieve that until the PS2 days. Little stuff like that mattered to us back then. And as I said, through the coming days, you're going to see the evolution of this game into where it is today, of this franchise to where it is today. A part of me wants to use the fast forward mechanic that's in this emulator, but I just wanted to just show you guys the authentic experience. As I said, I'm just gonna play this match mainly because I want to show you just the slight differences in the presentation for this game. There's some minor differences, but for the most part, it looks exactly the same as the original SmackDown. It was only 7 months. Again, instead of just reinventing the wheel, Duke's just built upon what was already made with the original SmackDown and just added on to it. As you can see, it's pretty much the exact, to avoid copyright. With The Rock, it's the exact same entrance for the most part. The key difference is, remember that Raw is War thing? That was not in the original SmackDown. So they was actually, I mean, that was in the original SmackDown. They actually have proper, what I meant to say was, they actually have proper lower thirds for their respective shows. So Raw is there, SmackDown, and then they have a generic one for a pay-per-view. And just showing you Chris Jericho's real quick. Just want to show you again, there was virtually no difference. They did update their attires a little, but there's virtually no difference character model wise, except for very minor stuff from the characters that were already in, or the wrestlers that were already in the original SmackDown. Again, I say Rios is one of the new people. We're going to be going over the roster eventually. Again, just show you just minor differences. You see the bars for the wrestlers were slightly updated. The time was slightly updated. The menu was more simplified. Excuse me. But the controls are literally exactly the same. Over the years, there'll be some modification for each game when it came to controls, but the controls are literally exactly the same from the first and second. Speed was exactly the same as well. They made minor tweaks to their movesets, but for the most part, everything remained the same. Just do a rock bottom. Has a normal move because, once again, there was no 2 finishers yet. So if you had him in a groggy state, you can execute their secondary finisher at the time. And we're going to be showcasing some of the other rosters. I mean, the new roster members, as well as the new match types, but just wanted to give a focus on essentially the main selling point of this mode, of this game. They had to sell replayability factor of this game to make it worth buying, and they pretty much did it with season mode. So another rock bottom. Try to lay him out as quickly as possible to get the people's elbow, and that should knock him out, and I should get the victory. And that's it. Like I said, the next match I'm probably going to play because I'm pretty sure I'm going to be part of the story. Is going to be at Backlash just to show that off, and then we'll be done with the season mode portion. As you can see, pretty much exactly the same. Just, just slightly more polished. the wrestlers just look like they're not, like, I guess the best way, they smoothed out the edges of the polygons of the wrestlers. There's Chris Benoit. One of the newest wrestlers in this game. And now we go to SmackDown. Again, cutscenes do happen. And if I remember correctly, for SmackDown 2, it was a 2-week cycle. So you get one Raw, one SmackDown, one Raw, one SmackDown, and then the pay-per-view. Or actually, it might happen right here. I don't recall it ever being that quick, unless it is. Normally, I thought there was like 2 cycles, but it's just one Raw, SmackDown. That seems way too fast for me. It should be 2 Raws, 2 SmackDowns, and then whatever is the next pay-per-view. There's no way it can be that fast. With Mankind, he actually has 2 more personas or alternate characters models in this game with Cactus Jack and Mick Foley. Ivory's the winner. Again, it was just, you just have to just picture, you know what, to smooth things out, let me switch over here. Just picture, unless a cutscene appears, it's all good. Again, you're a kid, you just like seeing the wrestlers, the stats. This was interesting to me as a kid, seeing the wrestlers, the health bars. You just have, I never thought about the grueling load time. You don't think about stuff until you're an adult, where time is much more important now. But I had no problem to stare at my screen doing this. Again, you didn't have phones, just stare at the screen and watch that health bar go down. Sounds crazy nowadays, but this was perfectly fine. Or actually, the main fact is, since I already unlocked Stone Cold, I wonder if it would still play out. I guess we'll find out. Let's see what this cutscene's about. And the boss man lost, but at least he reacted to it. Again, stuff just made sense in this game. And the thing is, The Rock's not even part of the show. And then Stone Cold now. Well, Chris Jericho, special referee against Stone Cold and Kane. So I do wonder what storyline is going to play out in the Backlash show. Or since I already unlocked Stone Cold, nothing's going to happen. I guess we'll see. So The Rock was there just for a backstage thing, and I'm still facing Chris Jericho again. I wonder what's the storyline here. Yeah, there probably is none, to be honest with you. Let's see what this cutscene's about. I think I'm probably going to speed it up because there's so much stuff I would love to show you about this game. I was in a special match tonight against who's my opponent. I'm probably gonna speed it up to, again, just going to Chris Jericho. I mean, to The Rock is on Titantron. Yeah, stuff like this. This was the stuff that you saw. And I thought that was so cool, even though it kind of didn't amount to much. Like, just little stuff like this. I don't know if you briefly saw in the back, there were cutouts of Jerry Lawler and I believe JR, or it could have been Michael Cole, but I just don't remember. I'm pretty sure actually it might have been Michael Cole, to be honest with you, because he's a playable character in this game. Just letting you know. But stuff like that was cool. Mark Henry was the victor there. Battle Royal. And like I said, this is the thing with the season mode. Like I said, it's never ending. There's about 8 or 9 characters ish that you can unlock through here, and then once you get to the 5th year, I believe you unlock everything, but then you could just still keep going. This was the replay value I was talking about that Ukes and THQ decided to make sure was the main thing. And once we get to the sales numbers of this game, you understand why it paid off greatly. There was factors as to why this game sold well. Again, it helped matters that it was still named SmackDown, one of the highest ratios on UPN at the time, instead of it naming it Raw. Love how The Rock is not the main event, even though he's the World Wrestling Federation champion. Again, going to show the intergender wrestling, which was still in this game, where they took it out and put it back in. Oh wait, I didn't mean to play the match. I don't want to play the match. We're just gonna skip it. Like I said, I don't want to wrestle until and the thing is, I feel like the CPU, you always lose somehow when you skip the match. Sometimes you win. Oh, actually, The Rock won. He didn't want to. I remember back in the day when I was tired, if I didn't want to play the match, and I always lost. I was like, man, but I didn't want to play this match. You know, in hindsight, it's kind of funny. I had no problem skipping. I mean, just watching these screens, but I just didn't feel like playing the match. What would I know? And there, I'm going to be defending the title. I probably shouldn't skip that, but I will play that match because The Undertaker is new in this game. This was the debut of the American Badass, so we'll play that match, and we're probably going to go to the Backlash. I mean, the reason I put in this screen, in case you're wondering, is because I know I had to cut the music off in the game, so at least with this screen, I know there's background music playing, and you guys can just enjoy the cutscene. Once we get to my match, we'll put it back to the main screen. I wonder if Undertaker, yeah, this makes me wonder what this is about. I know it's Triple H. Yeah, that's what I said. This is where the story develops. I think we're about to have the story play out. Something's going to happen that will lead to Backlash. This is what I was talking about. See, it paid off. Yep, this is because he was not... I'm not crazy. I know for a fact, before I continue, hold on, I'm not crazy. What's gonna happen? Yeah, you see, it's The Rock Undertaker. Watch that switch. Something's gonna change. I just know it. And then we're gonna go to Backlash. Right after one of these, there's gonna be a lot of cutscenes playing. Yep. It's always the SmackDown, because I will show you later on why, for the most part. It's always the SmackDown one where a lot of the stories play out right before the pay-per-view. Yep. He's telling Road Dogg what to do. Again, you're not missing any voice over. There is no voiceover. Used to play game. Oh, you used to play this game? A lot of people did, Aaron. A lot of people did. I mean, I will show you why a little later. This was essentially the main reason why people played it instead of going back to the first one, was this season mode. Obviously, as an adult, your tolerance of these loading screens may vary, but when you were a kid and when you were my age back then, none of this mattered. After school, I would jump right on this and play it. Did not care about the loading screens, even though the loading screen took up half your day. As you can see now, Ross can get attacked by Road Dogg and X-Pac. And that was it. Love how I had to do a loading screen just to go to the next screen. Again, this game was massive. It's loading. I love. I hope you love these pictures. I don't disagree with you that a lot of people like No Mercy. I've never personally played it as a kid. I only played it a handful of times. When I say a handful of time, 2 times in the past couple years when it was a previous live stream. I don't think I gave that game a fair shake, and maybe in the future I'll give it another chance. To me personally, I feel like the controls is a little iffy for me, but to be fair, I was playing it on a PlayStation controller instead of naturally playing on a Nintendo 64 controller. So when I play that game next time, I'm going to be using a Nintendo 64 controller to give that game a fair shake. So we're going to skip this match, and I'm assuming The Rock should retain his title, hopefully. Guys just wanted to get to the Backlash show, or maybe not. No, he did. I think he kind of has to retain it for, again, the cutscenes to make sense. Yeah, I mean, the difficulty was spiked a little. And like, yeah, this is the cutscene I was talking about when it came to Stone Cold. And this is how you unlock Stone Cold, even though I already unlocked him. So I don't know how you can unlock someone twice. And yes, it introduced the ladder match, and we're going to be going over that momentarily. I just wanted to get to the Backlash show just to showcase the presentation of season mode, which was the main selling point of this game. And there's one more cutscene, which is going to be Stone Cold. There he is. Again, you have to admit, again, from the year 2000, they put all this detail in a PS1 game. It's absolutely incredible when you think about they were able to do this. They were able to do this on a PS1 game in 7 months. In 7 months, you got it. Just I would say it's it's not necessarily a technological achievement, but it's in terms of just putting so much content in a 7-month span on a PS1 disc. It's just, you got to just give it to them. Like I said, all these just cutscenes just play out because it's always SmackDown before the show, before the pay-per-view. They make sure you have a story going into it. And I just thought it was so cool seeing it. And then they announced that Stone Cold will be a part of Backlash, a special guest referee. I just always thought that was so cool. And now we should be moving on to the Backlash show. And yep, Shane McMahon is special referee, but then it's going to become Stone Cold. And we're just going to skip these matches. And I am going to play the Backlash match, and then that'll be it for the season mode part. I was really just wanting to showcase again their main selling point. Deborah was in this game twice. I mean, this is the second appearance of her. She was in the original SmackDown. But Jeff Jarrett, as I talked about in the SmackDown stream, he was supposed to be in it, but he got cut. And there's Vince with Stephanie, Triple H, and Shane. Like, it just, they were able to do all of this in 7 months. You just got to give them when a developer cares about giving you the best experience, this is what they put in. They would make sure there was a reason you would pay for the game a second time in the same year. I was blown away by that. I was like, holy crap, there's 4 people in the ring at once and someone's talking. That's a cutscene. Cause they were just kind of mimicking the storylines that were already playing out in real life. Because obviously this is loosely based off of what happened in real life back in the year 2000. For those who are unaware, The Rock actually did face Triple H at this very show in real life in the year 2000, and Stone Cold came back. They just slightly modified and abridged it where Stone Cold is the special guest referee already at the beginning of the match. It didn't play out that way in real life, but again, it's just a loose adaptation of what happened in real life, which again, thought was cool. I get to play what happened in real life. Essentially, my kid brain did not process. It wasn't exactly a one-to-one saying. It's just, oh yeah, I saw that on TV months ago, and now I get to play the actual match or see it. I did play it on one playthrough, The Rock, because fun fact, if you want to guess what superstar I used for season mode back in the day, it was actually Grandmaster Sexay. That actually unintentionally rhymed. I used him, then I used Matt Hardy, and then I played The Rock, and then fortunately I was not that smart. I always thought after WrestleMania I had to click a new profile, so I would unintentionally have to rewatch all these cutscenes all over again, not realizing no, you could just keep playing and just switch out to superstars. Again, I love how Stone Cold's in a match. So again, once you unlock a superstar, they're in season mode. Even though if you restart it, they just could pretend like you didn't unlock them. So again, your Stone Cold is not supposed to be in any of the matches because you don't unlock him yet. So the fact that he was in the matches, I just find that amusing. You know, he should not have been. We should momentarily be getting to our match. I can see it. And now it's go time. All those loading screens was worth it, and it's one more. Gotta love this game. Stone Cold's here. So the thing is, even though he's wearing that attire, that is not actually his you can't use that in the game without using a cheat device. And then there's 2 referees. So I want to apologize. In the SmackDown stream, I mentioned that there was 2 special guest referees. I misremembered it was in this game. I knew I wasn't crazy. There was 2 special referees in the game. I just forgot which one it was, and it was actually this one. So I just want to apologize for that. And Vince McMahon is mad. Because I thought I was coming into this stream today. I really thought that the funny part is I don't know why the title's not on the line. I don't know why the title's not on the line in this match, even though I am the World Wrestling Federation champion. But again, the storyline just took precedent over the titles. They couldn't. I mean, it makes sense the developers did it that way because who knew would have been, because since they knew you could replay the season mode and do whatever you want, who knew would have been champion. So it just made sense. Regardless, they just strictly stuck it to The Rock and Triple H for this. And if you ever decide to play this yourself, you're gonna like certain people trigger the stories. Excuse me. Hello, Alex. I appreciate you stopping by. If you are just coming in, we're looking at why SmackDown 2 was the game that turned SmackDown into a full-blown franchise, and we are unintentionally attacking the referee. This is the season mode portion of this. I just wanted to showcase the main selling point of the game. Afterwards, we're going to be looking at the secondary selling point, which was the brand new match types. And Stone Cold is not playing around. And yes, I believe this is technically the only game to have two referees. I do not know why to this day that they have never added this back. This would create so much fun, or especially even online. I know local multiplayer is dead, but this would be so much fun having two people referee. And it's not like they haven't done this in real life. They have. And I accidentally hit my own referee, so that's nice. And just the chaos of it. And this is why, again, one of the reasons why I sold, because just local multiplayer. Could you imagine 4 people? You and your friends? If you had any? I can't. I was, unfortunately, didn't really have friends. At least I had a brother. Back then. They would just, this match would just be crazy. I don't know if knockout is automatically applied to 2 special guest referees. It could be, but who knows? I don't know why. See, it's weird. Like I said, obviously Stone Cold's supposed to be counting. So I don't know why Shane was counting, but I don't know why Stone Cold would stop. Again, it's absolute chaos. I'm not going to question it. As I said, the controls are one-to-one the same. Again, they weren't focused on reinventing the wheel. They just wanted to put out more content in this game, which honestly, I would have been more mad as a kid if they would have changed anything about SmackDown. There was nothing wrong with SmackDown. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Adding more stuff justified selling a new game. And that's exactly what THQ and Yuke set out to do. Oh, man. One more people's elbow should do the trick. Even though he already took out his elbow pad. It wouldn't be until future games where he would actually be able to take off his other side. Why would Shane, I mean, again, why would Stone Cold stop it? I don't know. Don't question it, guys. It's all good. You're not questioning the game. And that is pretty much it. Just wanted to showcase season mode again. The cutscenes actually make sense in this game, and they advance towards something. Normally, it ends at a pay-per-view. Sometimes it might end on a normal Raw or SmackDown, but most of them did end on a pay-per-view, and you will be awarded with something when you go through a story like that. Even if you didn't, the thing is, you didn't have to play as the Rock and Lock Stone Cold. You could just, as long as you just got to this event, you would unlock him. It won't show it now, but that's when you unlock Stone Cold. And now you can just save and exit. Now, if you just wait momentarily, I'm going to cut back on the music, so at least we will be able to listen to the actual in-game soundtrack. I just had to, because of the way the sound design is set up in this game, they don't separate the background music with the actual music from Raw, SmackDown, and the Superstars music. So because of that, I just had to mute it. But these loading screens, they just really, it does bring back memories of good times when you were a kid, you didn't have to worry about anything. You had all the free time in the world. Now we get to listen to the goodness of the actual music. So there's one thing I just want to show you guys before we get to the new match types is the Royal Rumble, because I just really want to showcase the absolute behemoth of this game was, besides the roster, of course. It really affected some stuff in the game, but it wasn't, again, deal breaking. But you saw in the SmackDown stream, the loading time in the Rumble matches, they were fairly quick, all things considered. I cannot say the same when it comes to this, as you're going to find out in a couple seconds when someone gets eliminated. It's gonna be a minute. It's definitely gonna be a match. So again, I really just want to showcase to you real quick, and just a way to show you the new superstars that were in this game. You saw Chris Benoit, saw some loading screens for SA Rios. The main, I think one of the biggest additions was Kurt Angle in this game. People was questioning why Kurt Angle was not in this game. I guess the theory is that they knew they were making a sequel, but they wanted to hold him off for the sequel. He did debut in 1999, but he could have made it. Or I guess it was just too close to call. And then you see Valve being set update again. For the most part, again, with 7 months, they were able to update the attires to some people. But like X-Pac is for the most part exactly the same. Like Undertaker obviously had the biggest update since his whole character gimmick changed. Although if you look in the back of the box of the SmackDown 2 case, he's actually still in his Ministry of Darkness attire. That's how late in development they were able to switch it around to... I'm just going to play as X-Pac. I get someone out real quick. Look how we're just still trying to throw everyone out. There we go. If you just, I just want to showcase how long it takes. No, the game's not frozen. The amount of stuff they had to load in for one person to come out. In the original SmackDown game, that was usually like not even more than 2 seconds, but almost 10 seconds. Again, as a kid, this did not matter. And also Trish Stratus was in this game. Again, we're gonna go over the full roster of this game later, but just wanted to show that off real quick. Now again, we touched on the replayability of this game, which is season mode. The second biggest thing was just a slew of brand new matches in this. So we're gonna go over some of them. I don't think I have all of them unlocked, although I think I do. Casket, TLC, Slobber Knocker. I don't know if we'll have time to go over this one. Tables. We already had special guest referee. The ladder is brand new. And I believe Iron Man was also brand new. And then obviously the big one. I was so excited for this as a kid, even though I was too dumb to realize it wasn't exactly the same as TV. I was just so excited to have a Hell in a Cell in the game. For purpose of this, we're gonna just again show off one of the new people, and why not pick? Where are you, Kurt? Kurt Angle. As a kid, the Hell in a Cell was my most played match. Second was the TLC. But I literally, the Hell in a Cell was pretty much just the one match I would always play every single time I load up this game. I had to get in one Hell in a Cell match every day. This was just revolutionary to me. Like, Hell in a Cell is my favorite match type of all time. I guess I really do believe that Kurt Angle was supposed to be in the original SmackDown. They just held him off specifically for this game. I have no proof of that, but and as you can see, the reason why it's not 100% accurate is the way the cell design. It was essentially what they decided to do with the Hell in a Cell, and this would not be correctly. The Hell in a Cell would not be its proper how it should properly be in the game until a few games later. So you had to deal with this in one more game. What they decided to essentially do is just take the steel cage, add 4 doors to each side and then a roof on top. They didn't bother giving you more space outside, which again, I understand. In 7 months, you can't. There's probably, that would have been a nightmare to put in within a 7 months. If they had 1 more year, sure, and that's how you would essentially get people out the ring. And from there, you can just climb it by just using triangle button. I always trying to put, unfortunately there is an invisible wall, so you can't fall no matter what, unless, you know, he throws you near the edge. Again, the CPU, I wonder if he's gonna follow me now. Probably not. Let's see. Oh, yes, he will. And again, since for Undertaker, his last ride is now his main. When again, the goal was always just, if I can just put him down, there we go. See, as long as he was near the edge, it would work. I always try to put them right in there. His goal was always to put someone. I was gonna put someone in there before I went to bed. Put someone through that cell. Again, glad he didn't change the controls. That's why, again, when people say a sequel to a game, for the most part, every wrestling game is a standalone title. For the most, I mean, like, as in, like, the self-contained, you don't need to play the previous game to understand the current game. Because they just always change something about it where it makes the previous game irrelevant. But this game, again, if you to understand the basics, you probably should have just played the first one, so you can come in the second one, you already know what you're doing. So for new people who played it, I felt bad for them, because all the experienced people who played this, they would have a huge advantage. And again, hopefully this should put him through. Nope, not yet. But this will, hopefully. Nope. Missed it by a mile. We're probably just not to waste any more time. We're just gonna come back in and hopefully he follows me. He's not gonna follow me, is he? Kurt, you're making this difficult. I apologize, everyone. You really had to put damage. I mean, you really had to do damage. Oh, there we go. Hopefully Kurt comes down from there. Will he? No. Good Lord. Good Lord. This should do it. Yep. Knew it was going to happen eventually. And normally when you put them through, it would end the match, but not that time. But this will. And that did. Just wanted to show off the Hell in a Cell. It wasn't a 1-2-1 of real life. We will have to wait a few more games for that. But this was honestly the most played match I played in SmackDown 2 in terms of new match types. And they were so confident they put it in the back of the box as one of the major advertisement. In the commercial, they did show off the TLC as well, but this was the reason to buy SmackDown 2 for that new match type for Hell in a Cell. I'd like to, if you indulge me, I will show you 2 more match types before we move on. I'll probably showcase more if we have time, but I just wanted to show you 3 of them. One of them was Hell in a Cell. The second one is TLC. Where are you? There it is. And you pick one for the title. The regular TLC, you know, it's funny because it doesn't matter who's champion, but again, I just want to play as someone new. And everyone's actually in alphabetical order. For the sake of this, we'll just play as Jeff Hardy because he's crazy. And a new character. Oh, Lita. But man, we ain't gonna do that. We're going to do Perry Saturn. As one of the new characters. They added a lot. Once we go to roster, you see again, when I say doubled, they literally doubled the roster. 7 months is just the perfect wrestling game on PlayStation. And the results of it and the reception of it, we'll go over later. It's not just me saying that. It was factually, arguably the best wrestling game on PlayStation. They nailed it. But funny, it took them the final years of essentially PlayStation's lifespan before the same year the PS2 came out. They put out the perfect wrestling game on PlayStation. See, there's 2 tables, and yes, you could just pick up a table like that. You didn't have to set it up. You saw my SmackDown screen. I love how it's just perfectly where it needs to be. You just put them right through it. And it'll essentially stay there for the most part. And there is the ladder, and the chairs right there. And you can just throw people out. I forgot to mention that part. And also they added tables, as you can see as well. Fortunately, you couldn't move. You can only just stand there idly and do an attack when necessary. Again, it was not realistic, so that's why Jeff Hardy being thrown out like that was not realistic. But that was essentially how it was. And he's pushing me. I love how he's just unintentionally pushing me. I don't know. I don't truly think he knows what he's doing. There we go. I got him. I did not. I don't know why he dropped the chair. There we go. That is a clothesline. Again, they were going for an arcade style. We didn't switch to the simulation style yet. And you just throw stuff. Obviously wasn't realistic the way they would go about using weapons, but again, it wasn't meant to be. This was just meant to be a fun game. That's all it was meant to be at the end of the day. Perry Saturn's really getting me. And again, unlike current games where stuff would disappear, although nowadays they don't, as long as you don't add a new weapon, the table, as you can see, is still there, and it's still just right there. Fortunately, you couldn't pick up the piece of it. But it's just cool that they just kept it there. I don't think they even knew how to make it disappear. Instead of making it disappear, even though this was arcade, fast arcade, they still kept it there just for you to remember it, which I thought was always a little neat design. And also, I meant to say with them adding, even I didn't mention this, I guess I should, even because I won't have time to really show you, because we're not in season mode anymore. By them adding the light heavyweight title, they actually made it division specific. So only light heavy. What I mean by that is light heavyweights are the only people allowed to go for that title, obviously. Wow, I unintentionally made him win. I was trying to climb the ladder. You know, luckily it wasn't for the actual title. Luckily it was not for the actual title. There's one more match type I want to show you guys. At this moment. There is another one, but just to make sure we get to it, there is one more match type before we move on. And this was the 3 cores, or the 3 it's going to take a cue from Kurt Angle. But this was 3 main things to sell this game. We already went over the season mode. Now we're going over the match types. The casket match. Just to show you how ridiculous the match is. Just why. And we're going to use Kane. And again, for a new character, why not Rikishi? To show you again what I meant, like, Yuke's wasn't trying to go. Yuke's had no intention on taking the route as the Aki games and make it kind of based in reality as much as they could back in the year 2000. They just wanted to go full blown crazy, just to pick up and play experience and just have fun. Just have fun with it. So again, the goal is a casket match, just like real life. Put them in the casket. It's the way about going about it is where I just wanted to showcase. And would you believe me if I were to told you this was the last time the casket match would be in the game for quite some time? Now, in later installments, they would have a variation of the casket match, but it wouldn't properly come back until modern times. This was the first and last time for quite some time that a casket match would be in the game. You just simply pick it up and just start swinging. As crazy as it sounds. You got to beat your opponent up enough where he would just sit in the casket. Got to Irish whip him into it. I just always, and you could somehow make yourself fall into it. Crazy. Never knew that. This game surprises me every day. Learn something new. Normally it's about one finish or two, and then you can Irish whip them, or if they're just close enough. And then the lid will just fall from the sky, and you will be good. Rikishi really loves doing the scoot slams, but and I think I did mention again, Rikishi being this Too Cool was in it as well, which is my main person to play as back then was Grandmaster Sexay. Normally, you can get... If he gets me in this, I'm gonna be so mad. Come on, get out. Kane, you're better than this. At least I thought so. Or not. I think one chokeslam will do it. There we go. Again, if you just get him to it, knock him down enough, and just like that, the casket closed. I always thought that was hilarious as a kid. It would just pop up out of nowhere. And I do apologize for the load time. Hopefully it did not freeze. That's interesting. Some technical difficulties there. Just bear with me for one moment. Nope, we're all good. It's just that's how long the load times are in this game. I apologize about that. So yeah, that were some of the match types I wanted to show you. That was one of their main secondary points of trying to sell this another wrestling game within the same year. So if you bear with me one moment as we're getting saved here. We're gonna go over the roster. Just bear with me. All right, so let me just mute the game. All right, so the roster, as I said, 66 characters. It was over 30 characters in the original SmackDown, but 66 in this one. In the lineup with something, you had the following: Al Snow, Albert, Big Boss Man, Billy Gunn, Bradshaw, Bubba Ray Dudley, Bull Buchanan, Cactus Jack, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Christian, Chyna, Crash, Devon Dudley, D'Lo Brown, Dean Malenko, Deborah, Eddie Guerrero, Edge, S.A. Rios, Farouk, Funaki, Gangrel, Gerald Briscoe, Grandmaster Sexay, Hardcore Holly, Ivory, Jacqueline, Jeff Hardy, Joey Abs, Kane, Kurt Angle, Lita, Mankind, Mark Henry, Matt Hardy, Michael Cole, Mick Foley, Pat Patterson, Paul Bearer, Perry Saturn, Pete Gas, Rikishi, Road Dogg, Rodney, Scotty 2 Hotty, Shane McMahon, Shawn Michaels, Stephanie McMahon, Steve Blackman, Steven Richards, who was originally a Creator Wrestler part in the original SmackDown game, Stone Cold, Taka, Taz, Test, The Godfather, The Cat, Rock, Undertaker, Tori, Triple H, Trish Stratus, Val Venus, Vince McMahon, Viscera, and X-Pac. Now, I won't be going over the roster in most of the games in coming days. I just really wanted to showcase the double amount of superstars that they added. You see 30 just brand new superstars, and within 7 months, you just got to give them credit for that one. But there were some omissions. You probably noticed a big one, which we're going to go over. Because, like original SmackDown, there was a what if. What if there was more to this game than what we got 7 months later, right? So, there's just some interesting stuff to go over. A lot of interesting stuff. One of the main things, as I said, in the SmackDown stream, there's just this weird file from Evil Zone that showcased a tutorial from Evil Zone. It's nothing to do with wrestling, it's just this one of the last games that Youth was working on before they put all their attention into WWE. Unused cutscenes. Remember, as I said, this game was using cutscenes loosely based off of what happened in real life events. One of the unused ones that we never got was Chris Jericho's debut. I don't know how this was going to really play out, though. This makes me believe this was originally meant in the original SmackDown, because honestly, Chris Jericho was already in the first SmackDown game. There was no need for him to have this debut here. So, am I tripping? Was Chris Jericho not in the original SmackDown game? You just saw the roster. 1 second. I'm not tripping. Yeah, Chris Jericho here. He's on the new list. Chris Jericho was 100% the original SmackDown game. I know that for a fact because I could have swore we fought him. So it would not have made any sense for this to be in this game. I feel like it could have been in the first game, but maybe they didn't have time to do it. That's just my personal opinion. Undertaker on motorcycle, like I said, they were loosely basing stuff that happened in real life. Obviously, Undertaker's return was a big deal, but he just had so many versions of it. Just to, again, why not just show you real quick? It's very low quality, unfortunately. Not this one. The Undertaker one is, though. I just want to credit the Fan Man for this. Again, just Chris Jericho. He made his debut. He actually has the full pose and everything. Just wanted to showcase that. There's not really much to it. And then same thing with the Undertaker. Oh, we're not going to listen to that. Credit to, who's it? F Mecca. The Rock would do this and the Undertaker come. Unfortunately, we do not have his glasses and bandana, bandana in the final version of SmackDown 2. And you see he would just come out. And then the unused characters. For those who are familiar with wrestling game lore, this is nothing new to you guys. But for those who are new, to make a long story short, Big Show and Ken Shamrock was in the original SmackDown game. Again, this game was being developed and releasing within 7 months of the original. So Big Show and Ken Shamrock could have been this game, but they aren't. But they kind of are, but they aren't. Allow me to explain. For Big Show's case, the reason why they took him out of SmackDown 2, or at least attempted to, was because he got sent down developmental. We're not going to really go over reasons why, but because he got sent down developmental, he's not going to be a feature part in major TV for quite some time. They thought it wasn't necessary for him to be a part of this game, so they made sure he wasn't playable. Ken Shamrock left the company before this game came out, but still, he was already probably being developed for the game. So they took him out from getting access through just regular means. However, there is occasions you could possibly see them in 2 matches, which is the Royal Rumble and Slobber Knocker mode, because the way the game is set up, it's not based, it's just, I guess they really didn't have the foresight. Again, people just use Game Shark codes. It's just a random number generator, essentially. The way it was operated, how Royal Rumble match is just random. So because of that, despite them not being accessible to play as, they could occasionally come out in a Royal Rumble and Slobber Knocker, but they were just not, their names will not be on the HUD of their when they come out. They'll just be unknown. But they are basically, what I'm trying to say is they are physically on the disc of the game. You just have to use a Game Shark code to access them. I would show you this video, but it's such low quality, I don't see the point. But if you just type in SmackDown 2 Big Show and Ken Shamrock, there's a lot of people on YouTube that have those videos. But that's essentially just the story, and just a proof that they were that they were in there. Here's some audio files. Big Show's song and Ken Shamrock's song. They're in files in the game because, again, it was just only a 7-month difference between the original game release and this game, so they had every intention to put them in there. Another thing with Creator Wrestling, which we will be going over shortly, using a Game Shark code, you can actually unlock these faces. And remember, Big Show and Ken Shamrock is right there. So again, they're literally in the game. But yeah, some couple more people: Andre the Giant, Sergeant Slaughter, Bob Backlund, and Jerry the King Lawler. There's alternate costumes, as I said. Remember that Stone Cold one with the jacket and jeans that was in that cutscene? It's just not accessible. Again, Undertaker's bandana and Vince McMahon in the suit, they're just not accessible. They're just a random corrupted character portrait. And you see, this is what I was trying to explain about the internal order thing. So because of it, because of how this game is set up, of its roster and memory, that's why Big Show and Ken Shamrock can appear in stuff like the Royal Rumble and the Slobber Knocker, despite the fact that you can't use them in normal means, because just the way the memory of the game is set up, the game just assume they're supposed to be there, and they will show up. If for some reason they're one of the first 4 in the Rumble, they will have that portrait, which is obviously just a silhouette of Chris Benoit, as that. So there's an unused ring mat, which I don't really see, and it says World Wrestling Federation. Don't know why I didn't put that in there. unused entrance videos for Bull Buchanan, Hardcore Holly, and Crash, as well as the Raw is War. I mean, for them, well, because Bull Buchanan, yeah, I just don't know why they didn't have them despite the wrestlers being in the game. This makes no sense. Makes you believe these like they were like last minute additions. Something about a error handler. Regional differences. Now, normally, there's virtually no difference between the releases of America, Europe, and Japan. But for some reason, they decided just to change the car. Don't know why. I don't think anyone, as a kid, I would have noticed or cared about how the cars would look. Just don't know why they took that extra effort to do it. But it's just fascinating to me. There's just some unused images and then unused music. Again, there's a lot to this game that could have been, again, here's again mainly the prototype version of this game, and lo and behold, Big Show and Ken Shamrock, where they were both fully playable. And then there were some other wrestlers that had their early gimmicks, as Prince Albert, the Cat, Bull Buchanan with the SWAT gimmick as Big Boss Man, and then Undertaker still has Many Are Darkness, which is why if you ever looked at the SmackDown 2 game case, with the promotional photo of the Hell in a Cell, Undertaker's in his original attire from the first SmackDown game. And then some earlier character portraits. Again, you could just go, it goes to show they decided to switch some stuff. The prototype from The Rock, which again, he was meant to be the World Wrestling Federation champion, to just normal ones like this. A lot of these, they would be kept as the loading screen menus for some of these. Like Kane, well, Kane's ones did not basically change at all. That Chris Benoit one was just not used. Again, just a lot of them that they just did not use. And they just have a silhouette of Chris Benoit. I always wondered just why they use Chris Benoit. I would think they would just use a default like Stone Cold or Rock. I always found that one fascinating. Unused graphics. Again, the prototype version, the final version, SummerSlam to the new SummerSlam one, King of the Ring to that one, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble to the newer one from 2000, and WrestleMania 15 to WrestleMania 2000. The house show one was still in there even though they stopped using it. Pretty much all of the original stuff that was in the SmackDown game, like those numbers and those graphics. Unused loading screens from Big Show. Again, he was supposed to be in the game, and Rakishka, he's with Too Cool. And random placeholder graphics from the people from Ukes. Just don't know why that was in there. Fatal 4-Way was called a 4-Way Dance. Hardcore match, Hell in a Cell. It was functional, but it was something to do with the camera. Cage. Title holders, again, slight differences. X-Pac originally had the title, but Eddie Guerrero was the final version. European was Eddie, then Al Snow, just to reflect the real life product. And then just some other oddities there. The pre-release of SmackDown 2. And it got, which is the August version of it. Again, slight differences. Ken Shamrock, again, he was fully meant to be in the game, and this is on IGN's channel. Shockingly. Just to quickly show this off, again, Ken Shamrock was 100% meant to be in this game and fully playable. Just showcase to you that real quick. And then Rikishi versus Vince. Again, the main thing is that Vince is in that outfit, even though it's only in story mode. And then Taka versus Rodney. Originally, basically, the main thing was Taka was just meant to have his first name instead of his full name. And Bubba Ray Dudley versus Edge, who used a completely different attire. The one that was, I believe, in the first game. And Jeff Hardy versus S.A. Rios. Difference is SWAT Time Bomb. This doesn't land, so obviously still in beta. The Blackman, D'Lo. Just, again, some interesting stuff. Essentially, the whole point I wanted to just point out here is how close Big Show and Ken Shamrock were in the final release of this game, because even in August of 2000 they were playable. That's how close they were cut out. And then again with this trailer, Undertaker at the 11-second mark. I guess I could show you the quality's fine. Let's see. It's only 55 seconds. Yep. This is the same promotional material in the back of the boxes. Again, it's faint, but Undertaker's in his original Ministry of Darkness attire. Now it's so slightly different than it is in its final version of the game. And then just some random notes. Nothing worth mentioning for the most part there. We already talked about this. A lot of text that just, there was so much stuff that, again, that they could have still put into this game that they just did not for whatever reason. Commentary. Oh, another main thing I forgot to mention. Commentary was supposed to be in this game, but because of how big this game was, they want to screw up everything. There was some audio that could have been used, but they just didn't use it.
This guy is so popular, every town is his hometown.
See, Jerry Lawler was supposed to be in here. Jim Ross.
Finally, The Rock has come back to his millions and millions of fans.
At least again, they were attempting to put on commentary into the games, but they wouldn't fulfill that until the next game, and that is a sight to see. And if you want to see that, just stop by tomorrow. So there's that. Now you wonder why I have this list pulled up. Yeah, that actually segue into the next segment. I have these as reference. But just to show you why I have this, the creation got greatly updated in this game despite it being only 7 months. A lot. It's one of those, a lot of things people don't tend to talk about a lot, but it's just for 7 months they were able to greatly update the creation, and we're going to briefly go over that. I'm just showing you these because this is the preset moves, and they have wrestlers in here that was not wrestling for the company. People like Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Bill Goldberg, Sting, Hulk Hogan, Jeff Jarrett, Scott Steiner, Booker T, The Great Muta, Vader, Terry Funk, Big Show and Ken Shamrock, even though they are clearly in the game, Jerry King Lawler, Andre the Giant, which is probably wondering why you saw models of them. They just had them in there. This was at a time where they weren't really putting legends in the game, but hey, Andre the Giant, why not? Jerry Lawler, why not? Sergeant Slaughter, why not? And Bob Backlund, why not? As they figured. I guess due to licensing reasons, they probably couldn't put them in there, but I guess they could get away if they weren't full-fledged models. Maybe that was their logic. Who knows? I don't have any proof of that. Just bear with me one moment. Let me just, I don't know why that's still on the screen. As I pull up the game again. We're going to look at the creation suite real quick. Yeah, it is a sight to see, like, compared to what I showed you in the SmackDown. Compared to what I showed you in the SmackDown screen. I mean, in the SmackDown stream. Where you could just simply just swap out people. That was not the case here. You can actually create a wrestler. You got to give him credit there. So first, again, you can actually create a female wrestler too, or male. For this purpose, we're just going to create male. Make them fat, skinny, normal. Again, we're just going to briefly go over some stuff as quickly as possible. I was never a creative wrestler expert, but just want to showcase this. You have a standard way of doing it. Again, skin color, you can just change it to any superstar. When they say skin color, they mean the head. Stuff like that, or an original. Like the head model for some reason. That's normal. That's clearly look like an Stephanie, but I digress. And see, some of these were used over from the original SmackDown game. They have a bunch. And Jeff Jarrett, there's gold dust, like it's crazy. Just original tires and that, so fun times there. Or advanced, you can literally go more in depth. The nose, again, switch it to whichever one you want. This is like essentially, this game was essentially the foundation of everything that came after it, because this got turned to a full-blown series. So stuff like this Yes, this was back in the PlayStation. This much detail. Stuff like simply changing the nose. I guess I'll just show over, like, again, the outfits as well. Advance. You have a t-shirt with accessories on it as well. I guess that's what they mean, logo. Just again, just to show you that. But obviously, you're meant to have a shirt. It's cool. Just be original. Like, this is where I can imagine SmackDown 2, for a start, a lot of people got their creation stuff going. Even though you obviously couldn't, you know, upload to community creations back then. The fact that they did all of this in just 7 months is just outright incredible. I just wanted to show off that a little bit. And we're just going to take this as a main creative wrestler and decide that, because I just really want to show the, I was going to call him Edit Man. Why not? And he is a man. Interest music, doesn't matter. I really want to get to the move sets just to show you guys. Does not matter. And he's going to be a heavyweight. Again, they added light heavyweight. His personality, again, this is mainly for season mode. He's on good terms. All of this has to do with season mode for your allies and enemies. I'm just adding anyone because, again, we're not going back into season mode. Don't want to be here for 5 hours, unfortunately. And again, you can adjust his stats like this. Just a new way of doing it. Simple stuff like that. Yeah, just default. Just a more streamlined way of going about it. Oh, I could just copy. I was going to do that. There we go. Superstar logic. Again, just simplified menu of... just a simplified version of it. And we're good here. So we're done editing him. We're going to save. Then we're going to go on to create a moveset. Again, just a lot of this came with the territory of a good game. A lot of loading. And now we go to the moves. Just saw a loading screen. Yeah, go back into this another one. They were pushing the limits of this game. Can't even be mad of it. I mean, can't even be mad at it. Again, as a kid, that never really bothered me. You just add the superstar, and now I don't know if I have. You could just again auto. Either again superstar. I don't know if I have them unlocked. One of them I could use as an example. Nope, they're all locked. Oh, except for some of them. Some of them are good. I guess for the purpose of this, we're going to use Andre the Giant, which is ZA. We're going to use his moveset. And we're just going to save that. Well, actually, my apologies. I believe we can actually look at some of the moves play out in the actual thing. So bear with me. We're gonna have to see that loading screen one more time. If not, I will use Slobber Knocker mode, and we're gonna put him through the ringer as long as I can survive. But I believe we could just see some of the moves in the preview menu here. I think they added a preview menu. So just bear with me here. We'll just use special. Let's see. I believe we have a preview of it. Yes, we can. Look at that. Boom. Yeah, that's Andre the Giant, all right. It's just cool that you can see the previous stuff. Just the amount of stuff that they were able to do in just 7 months. Again, I sound like a broken record, and I apologize for that, but you just don't know how insane that is. You know how long game development is nowadays? 5 to 7 years for some games. Just get a sequel. I know WWE games come out every year, but in 7 months they were able to do this. We're actually going to use a slobber knocker, and let's see how long this great wrestler can survive. Where is he? Where is he? Edit man. We're gonna put him through the ringer real quick. Just to again just show you slobber knocker mode. But just also show you the moveset of the Andre the Giant, people that were not in the game. We're not showing that off. Come on, AP. There you go. And Shane. Wonder why there's a number next to my name. It's because again, see how many people I can survive in 10 minutes apparently. I can't use my finisher that quickly. Ooh. I don't think I made him strong enough to withstand some of it. Now you see the cutouts of Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross. Again, it was meant to be commentary, but that just did not end up happening. Yes. Oh, I forgot his finisher is actually on the ground. Here I'm wondering, like, why isn't my finisher working? There we go. Again, just take a minute to load. 10 seconds almost. No, the game is not frozen. I don't know why the entrance still plays. Okay, you can stop. Stop playing the music. Can you guys like stop playing the music? I want to get content ID. There we go. Fortunately, I didn't take him out. Again, just wanted to showcase this was Yuke's way of getting people in the game that could not get in the game. I guess, and they did it on purpose because they knew their creator wrestler was kind of advanced. So in a sense, you could pretty much actually create your Hulk Hogan's, your Bill Goldberg's. Are they going to be accurate? Probably not, but hey, they gave it a shot. It would be fascinating if I see Big Show or Ken Shamrock come in. I do apologize, guys, but again, to avoid, I just had to mute the sound briefly for the entrance music to not play. I just want to apologize in advance. And we're good. Wait, so if it was going to be a 3 count, right? If it was going to be a 3 count, actually, I don't have to mute it. I know exactly what to do. If it was going to be a 3 count, why couldn't I just get a knockout? Makes no sense. Oh, Lita's not going to let me do the finisher. Oh, she just fell right into that. Wow, the camera angle was not the best there. And again, for the next couple days, the intergender wrestling is going to be perfectly fine. It'll be a long time before they stop doing it just to add it back in the current game. This was just completely normal because, again, Yuke's philosophy, at least back then, was just fight whoever with whoever. It's a game at the end of the day. But I get it. Times change. I believe Lita just has Matt Hardy's moveset for the most part. Or S.A. Rios. No, I believe it is Matt Hardy's. It's clearly Matt Hardy's. That's probably originally meant to be S.A. Rios. And knockout. I'll probably do one more finisher and just call it. Don't want to bore you guys, and there's a few other match types we can go through. One of my main characters to use in season mode. I just don't know why. The funny part is, like, in terms of real life, I could care less about Grandmaster Sexay when I was a kid. But in the actual game, I just, for some reason, that leg drop, I always loved using it as a finisher. The top rope leg drop. I just don't ask me why. I'm a weird person. Could care less about him in real life when I was a kid. I actually like Sky Too Hottie more, but just that leg drop really sold it for me. Who else could it be? Alright, this will probably be the last one. I forgot I meant to switch the music so I won't get content ID. My apologies. It's actually a weird song. I don't recall ever hearing this. I know he's part of the Street Posse. I don't know, it was a group that Shane McMahon had briefly. They essentially served as Shane McMahon's lackey. Wow, that was quick. I might as well stay on this screen. I meant to change it. We'll do one more. I keep saying one more. I just want to use up all my finishers. Well, I'm glad I had the on this screen, because this is super loud. I remember the censors music. I believe he's getting thrown out. No, why not? Oh. There we go. And we'll just call it there. Obviously, I'm winning all of this because I'm great at this game, apparently. I am super. But that was another mode I want to show off. Again, a ton. Oh, yeah. There is something else I wanted to show. I completely forgot. I neglected this. Create a taunt. Yes, I actually wanted to show you this. Again, the creation suite. Knew there was something I was forgetting. I was like, why did I want to create a superstar and not create a taunt? I'm not that smart. You can actually, yes. Something that is not in the new games, which is still baffling, you can actually create a taunt in this game. Again, it's just like two stances. Like, for example, you just do something so crazy. Like, let's see. I could do that. Right? And then for the second one. And then they'll just flow together. I don't know what else we got. And then a roll. Look at that, you see? So crazy. I can apply to. It's like it's so crazy. Again, you could do different ones too. Like here's something that was already default Kabuki. I don't like simple stuff like this. Why is this not in the modern wrestling games? Why can't we just create a ton? Why? It was able. I guess they're afraid of what people would make. I guess they're a PG company now, but it's just like simple stuff like this. Make it show they can't do something offensive or something. I don't know. It's just this is the certain magic that the older games have that the current games don't. It's just like stuff, simple, little stuff like that would make the fan base happy. So crazy how a game in 2000 has a feature that's not in the 2026 version of this game. Baffling. Yes, you could create a manager, which it's not as, just to quickly show you guys, it's not what it sounds like when it says create a manager. Kind of a misleading thing. I feel like they should have called it something else. Essentially, here's a list of people. When I mentioned this in the original SmackDown, where people come out with certain wrestlers, this is what I meant. Triple H will come out with Stephanie, Kane would come out with Paul Bearer, X-Pac come out with Tori, Val Venis come out with Trish, and you could just make your new one. So essentially, Albert, okay, and Joey Abs. So during the entrances, that's literally essentially it. So I guess since you are creating a manager, I guess they could have just said manager assignment, but they just wanted to be simplistic, like their controller scheme. They just wanted to be simplistic, and I understand that. That's completely fair. It's just the gruelingness of these loading screens, but it just came with the territory of playing this game. Create a stable. You know how difficult it is to create a stable in the current games where everyone is screw up. This one was just fairly to the point, and it wouldn't glitch. Because back in the day, they had to put out a perfect game. Just to show off the stables real quick. You had D-Generation X with Triple H, X-Pac, and Road Dogg. The Acolytes with Farouk and Bradshaw. So essentially, stables were both just tag team and more than three people groups. Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff Dudley's. With Devon and Bubba Ray, TNA with Test and Albert, Edge and Christian, self-explanatory. Too Cool with Grandmaster Sexay, Sky Too Hottie. Why wasn't Rikishi part of this? I don't understand, because they have, as you can clearly see, DX has 3 of them, so I just don't understand why they did not do that. China, Eddie Guerrero, Kai and Tai, the McMahon family. You see Vince, Shane, and Stephanie are together. Right to Censor, Steven Richards, Godfather, Bo Buchanan. I was gonna say Val Venis, but obviously it was way too, I mean, as you see, his attire is not the same. The New Age Outlaws. So, and you could be a part of more than one stable. Gerald and Gerald and Patterson and the Mean Street Posse. Makes no sense. Why? So you could definitely be part of more than one, so why couldn't you just have Rikishi be part of Too Cool? I don't make the rules. Then create a pay-per-view, which would essentially just be so essentially just a season mode. I feel like this is where the redundancy comes in, which I understand why this is here, where you can again just fancy book your stuff, but it just becomes redundant. It does have that's what makes it slightly different. It does have the audience ranking, so again, you could, when you go through these shows and then the matches, but essentially the interface, as you can clearly see, is essentially just for the main event on SmackDown, Rock vs Undertaker, the main event, Rock vs Triple H, Chris Benoit, Jericho. These are obviously I've never done any of these. This is clearly meant for other people. Like, I guess it was just preloaded just to show you. I've never done any of those. You can just create a pay-per-view. Again, the screen was just gonna be exactly the same as season mode. So if you weren't paying attention and like, you could just clear it. But again, you could also just make matches on the fly and change some stuff. Why is there a loading screen just to make a match? This is what I am unfortunately talking about when it comes to these loading screens. Why is there a loading screen when it comes to making a match is beyond me. They had to do a loading screen just to do that. That is fascinating. You can't have a Royal Rumble or King of the Ring. You do Survivor, which is, you know, Triple Threat, Fatal 4-Way. Oh, there was one more match I forgot to show you guys. Now that I thought about it, there was actually two more, but holy crap. I don't know if it's unlocked though. We'll just clear, or we'll just decide. Yeah, let's just cancel. On create a pay-per-view. If I just clear it all, I guess it'll just clear. I guess it'll just give you a clean slate. Yep. And that's actually cool. It'll just give you a clear slate like that. But again, I just want to show you. It was way more streamlined than the original SmackDown game, but it's just the redundancy comes in. If it wasn't for the audience ranking, there'll basically be no reason why to have created pay-per-view the way the season mode was designed. I get people want to have and save their matches. I guess in a sense, my apologies, the more I think about it for 2 seconds, shows how dumb I am. If you want to create your own matches and just have it set and saved, and just go through that card, you have a save point, I can understand that, but for all intents and purposes, just go through exhibition. But I can understand if you want a fluid pay-per-view and you're playing with your friends. See, I didn't have friends to play with this back then besides my brother. So now I understand it in hindsight. I'm thinking like, oh yeah, online multiplayer. There was no online multiplayer back then. Tend to forget that sometimes, but yeah. So again, the special stuff. That's referee, right? You could have 2 referees. I just want to point out again, I knew I wasn't crazy. The original SmackDown, I didn't mention I thought it was in that first game. It was actually in this game. This is the last time it appears in any wrestling game where you can have 2 referees. Why? Unless Just Bring is in there the next for tomorrow, I will check. But I believe this is the first and only time there's 2 referees in one game. Why have they not brought this back in the current game is beyond me. I just can't imagine what is so hard to do that. So there's that, and I believe for Survival, Fatal 4-Way. No, there should be a hardcore. I'm looking for. You bear with me. There's one match I wanted to show off. It's for the hardcore title. Yes, the time limit title. Because we turn to the hardcore championship. Just want to show how chaotic this match is. Real quick. And the thing is, what was cool, so again, it's cool because you can only use people that contend for the hardcore title. So that's why I always found this fascinating. And Bubba Ray is obviously the champion. So this is essentially the main way you could defend the hardcore title. See, and it's automatically on the line, only people in the hardcore ranking. So that's why I just thought this was just cool. They have a match essentially just for them. I think the only downside to this match is you can't escape the ring. But other than that, I believe when it came to Fatal 4 match, you just could not leave the ring. But in this one, I could be 100% wrong. I'm like 90% sure you can't leave the ring. We're just gonna briefly look at this real quick. They all start off. Forgot to mention again, because you couldn't go under the ring, they would just start off with the weapons in their hands. That's why when you create a superstar, they say, what is your favorite weapon? Because for hardcore matches, you will start off with the weapon in your hand. I'm assuming Bubba Ray should have I was going to say table, but I guess you couldn't have. Oh, actually, no, you can go. That's interesting. So I'm 100% wrong. I thought you couldn't leave the ring. I think it was the original SmackDown you couldn't leave the ring. Huh. And it does, so you see that little icon? To be fair, I said it was 9% sure. There was that 10%. And that little icon, which I never noticed as a kid. You can 100% leave the ring. That actually made this match much more cool. I definitely remember as a kid. It definitely made this much more cooler. I think it was just you couldn't leave the ring when it came to either fatal 4-way matches back in the original game. I think that's what it was. And it shows who currently holds the title, and it's like a grueling 15-minute match. I remember I used to play this a lot just to... I think besides Hell in a Cell, this was my second most played one. Again, 100% remember this. Yeah, a 15-minute time limit. If you just ever had the belt beforehand, it would just get so crazy if I could fight backstage. Just wanted to showcase that off. And then there's one more thing I'll show you, just some of the backstage areas as we're winding down here. I'm acting like I did not see exhibition. No, actually it's in its own. Because they slightly updated where you don't have to, that's the one thing I wanted to show off, and we're gonna do Fatal 4-Way. You don't have to rely on, no. You don't have to rely on Irish whipping the opponent anymore. Would just be Cactus Jack. Viscera, it doesn't really matter. I believe Rules 2 is... Again, you can pick the restaurant, like simple stuff like this. You can start backstage. You can start backstage in the original one too, but you got some new places. You saw in the cut content, right? Keisha had his own loading screen, but for some reason he decided just to add him with Too Cool, which makes it even more baffling why they did not add him as a stable. Oops, I know that song is copyrighted. We'll just briefly switch to this to avoid that. Always love Cactus Jack's song though. Apologize for that. Now we get back to our regularly scheduled programming. You see that render of the Rock? As I said, some of them were just used for the loading screens. So again, just want to show new arena backstage, but you see these arrows? Once it becomes blue, you'll be able to go to the next arena. You weren't relying on Irish whipping a person to a certain direction. Like once it becomes blue, you'll be good to go. But you had to stand close to it. You see? It's blue, so now you can just go. But you had to be quick about it. And then everyone will have to follow. You just gotta be quick about going that way once it becomes fully blue. Come on. Come on. Nope, don't. There we go. Got it. The loading screens are ridiculous. Again, almost 10 seconds for each thing. This is another variation of backstage. You go outside to Times Square, I believe. Yep. And that's where we're going. That's where we saw that car, I believe. It should be here. No, we're back. Goddamn, we're back in New York. We have to leave this spot. Let's go this way, guys. This way is what I meant. Just wanted to show off some backstage stuff. And we're in the kitchen. Never know where you're going to go and look like this is a dead end. But once again, you get the idea. Some new spots backstage. And again, just in record time. They had the time to do that. It was just all about adding on to some stuff. There was one more match that I wanted just to showcase. And that was just the where is it? I would showcase the Iron Man. That's gonna take a minute. It was the tables match because it's not as quickly as the tornado tag to show you how crazy it's gonna be. The chaos that would happen if you were not paying attention. Why not just be Chris Benoit? Viscera. We already picked him. We'll do some other people. See, this is like what I mean with the creator wrestler. I just don't understand the reasoning. I just want to. It just always like little stuff like that just always fascinates me. It's like, why crisp and wild? You would think they just use like a default. I just specifically just says render. It's probably like Rock or Stone Cold. Christian and see, having so many wrestlers, so many options. That's Arios. I'm gonna showcase some of the newer wrestlers. Who's team out with me? I think it's either the way it looked like Albert's with me, or is it? I don't know. I guess I'm about to find out. Wasn't paying attention to who my partner was. Probably should have. Come on. Yeah, it's weighing out. I did like that about Crash Holly. Well over 400 pounds. Good guy. I believe Albert's my partner. Like I said, it wasn't as simple to just break the table. You actually had to put in a lot of work, and again, unfortunately, you just jump back in just by staying on the table. It wasn't free. You couldn't just freely. I believe the table won't break that easily, or I could be 100% wrong, but I guess we're about to find out. He definitely took me off right there. And again, it wouldn't just break normally. That would have, in today's world, it would just break normally. I just realized I have a bunch of finishers. I didn't realize that actually. How about one of you guys put the table down? Just smacking it. Again, just small stuff like this just puts a smile on my face because it's so ridiculous. But that's what it was back then. You appreciate the craziness and randomness. Yeah, this was the peak pinnacle that we had on PlayStation. We didn't get the simulations like Nintendo 64 until way later. In fact, it wouldn't be until the PS2 where we get like a full-on simulation. Just trying to get him. There we go. I believe that, yeah, the table, either he reversed that, either they reverse it or the table just won't break that fast. Or I guess I would just didn't know he was going to reverse it that quickly. Yes, you could do moves like that. Try to. Christian was not in the way. There we go. Oh my God, Christian. Well, at least he ain't gonna be a problem at the moment. Let's see if I can smash. Boom. There we go. I do believe you have to wear them out a little bit before they properly break. But I don't think they would have broke that fast. All right. So just a few more things I would like to actually talk about. If you just bear with me with one moment. All right. One second. All right. So, as I said with this game, this was the deciding factor that if SmackDown was to become a full-blown franchise, how well this game was going to do. So, the results of it was a lot. So much, I mean, even though this is way after the fact, it sold enough for it to be, I spoiler alert, if you're living under a rock, the SmackDown series is perfectly fine. It sold what it needed to sell. It made its dough. But how much did it actually sell? Well, it's just a fascinating thing that not a lot of people tend to talk about. Because the Guinness Book of World Record had no problem talking about it. The best-selling combat sports video game on a single format. And that prestigious title goes to SmackDown 2 Know Your Role. The PlayStation 2 hosts the best-selling combat sports game on a single format. WWF SmackDown 2 Know Your Role Ukes 2000 has sold 3.2 million copies by the 30th of July of 2014. Now, has that record been beaten by a single platform? I do not know. Based on the year, probably not, because by that point, wrestling games were multi-platform. But on a single, so essentially in layman's terms, back then, these games were exclusive to PlayStation. So on the PlayStation itself, because it wasn't on Nintendo 64 or the Sega Saturn, soon to be Dreamcast, in the final console of Sega. On this platform alone, this game sold 3.2 million copies. That's a lot for a game. Just think about the perspective here. This game came out in November 2000. Unless I'm crazy, the PS2 also came out in the year 2000. Despite the new console coming out, this game sold millions after the newer system came out. To the point. Well, but before we get to that, to the point of what I mean, it sold out years after the fact. Nothing I just wanted to point out. Thanks to our buddies in the UK, when it came out in the UK, it topped charts. I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to zoom in a little bit more. It topped the charts. I was just looking at the competition that it had. Again, FIFA for the PS2. Again, the PS2 was already out. It topped the charts in the UK in this first week it came out. You know how rare it is for wrestling games nowadays to do that against their competition? This is what they were going up against. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which I had no idea was even a game to begin with. FIFA, Shenmue, Pokemon Pinball, it was beating Nintendo. Pokemon Yellow, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, Zelda Majora's Mask, Dino Crisis, Rayman, The Phantom Menace, Spyro, which is I consider one of the greatest PlayStation games of all time, Year of the Dragon, Rugrats, Toy Story 2, Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, The Sims, and Rayman 2, and Crash Bandicoot. Somehow, SmackDown was number one of that week, despite the fact that the PS2 was out. It still sold that much, and that's why I got it. Again, when I say keep selling years after the fact, this game came out in the year 2000. In 2002, I know I kept calling it WWE, but at a time, it used to be called WWF, the World Wrestling Federation. We'll eventually get to that point in a few days to their name being changed officially to WWE. But in the year 2002, that's when it got its name changed. Despite that, there are copies of SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, thanks to this Reddit user from 4 years ago. But SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, because it sold millions, had its greatest hits. They updated it. It sold that much where even in the year 2002, they were reselling the game with the new updated logo. I mean, they kind of had to. Although back then, I was still able to get copies of Just Bring It and Shut Your Mouth, the original packaging. No, my bad. Just Bring It. I think SmackDown Shut Your Mouth still had the WWE. It was Just Bring It that still had the original WWF logo. But to the point where SmackDown 2 was being sold. Again, a PlayStation game, despite the fact that the PS2 was already out. In the year 2002, 2 years in, that's how much this game is still selling. They were still selling a game and reselling it with the new logo. That's what I mean. Like, this game was selling insanely well that they went out of their way to keep repackaging it with this new logo to continue selling millions of this game. But that's why it holds the distinction of the most sold wrestling game. Now, years later, there will be one title, and you probably won't believe which one it is, that will beat it in terms of its record sales, but that required to be on multiple platforms. But as a single unit, for that record. They said for Guinness World Record. I don't know if it's been updated or not, but at least in this, for my knowledge, SmackDown 2 is the best-selling wrestling game on a single platform. Incredible. So again, to say this game did not do a lot for the WWE gaming series would be a understatement. Just saying. So this was essentially the story of SmackDown 2 Know Your Role, the sequel that essentially made SmackDown a full-blown franchise. Just personally, final thoughts. Just because this was just proof that you didn't really have to change much. I mean, you really didn't have to change much. You just had to add more to it. It was exactly the same controls as the original one. They only had 7 months to drop it, but they added so much. They doubled the roster, bunch of new match types, and season mode. You were essentially good to go. And hindsight is 2020. Maybe they made the season mode that way because the very next game, what you would consider the season mode of the game is not how you would think it would be, despite it being the first game on the PS2. But for those who are watching this live, you can just tune in tomorrow for that and see exactly what I'm talking about with the next game, which is SmackDown. Just Bring It. Thank you all for your time this evening. I hope you guys enjoy this stream. And as I said, I'll be back tomorrow for the story of SmackDown. Just Bring It. A very weird transition into the next generation of the console for the WWE gaming franchise.